welcome back to the We Are City channel, to a new start of Season 4. And of course, in the end of the last season, Pep Guardiola completed a historic treble once again with our side. And at the end, announced his departure from Manchester City as the most decorated manager in Manchester City history. And without him, we are looking for replacements. I've got 4 options in today's video, starting off with the Paris Saint-Germain, our former Paris Saint-Germain manager in the save. In fact, he's managing Real Madrid in this save. We're going to talk about Luis Enrique, the PSG manager. He's done fantastic things with PSG, fantastic things with Barcelona, fantastic things with Spain as well. Not quite as successful as he should have been with them. But have a look at his PSG side and see, could he manage Manchester City? This is how his PSG side do line up, and they do like to sort of shift into this shape in possession. Those are the sort of squad they've got. And they play pretty much a false 9, Dembele dropping deep, Kvaratskhelia and Doué coming inside, and then the fullbacks holding the width. They don't really have a whole midfielder. Vitinha's a sort of metronome, and the front 3 is very, very interchangeable and balanced. So how would that look if Luis Enrique took over at Manchester City? How could he do things at City? Well, in a similar shape, it's looking like that. With the squad we've got in this series, how do we make our team work like that? We're looking at a team there, the players that we think could add in. Vinny Jr. at false 9, Livramento and Aït in the fullback area, Semenyo and Shirky in the wide areas. Rodri plays a centre-back. He played there for Luis Enrique's Spain side. But it does mean we're looking for a new hold midfielder and a new goalkeeper in that situation. Of course, he does have a history with Gianluigi Donnarumma, and he wants more of a metronome, someone who's a little bit not quite the physical force that perhaps Rodri is in that team. And that would be something difficult to find. But they were the 2 areas this team would look to try and bring players in, look to try and improve that area of the team, and then see what we can do with the side. But it does mean perhaps Erling Haaland doesn't find himself as a starter as well as he looks to play that false 9. Option 2 is that of Cesc Fabregas, who's been really impressing while the manager in Serie A at Como. Now, he is another Spanish manager, someone who has also learnt his trade, coming from that sort of style of game, someone that suits the style of football that Pep Guardiola leaves the club. So his Como side looks like this. They start in a 4-2-3-1 formation, and Nico Path has been one of the standout players. Maximo Pirone, who's been signed permanently for Manchester City, has been great as well. And they play a particular way in that he likes to actually bring his right winger in and make a box in the midfield area, but vacates that right hand side. That is something that is very unique to the way Fabregas side likes to play. And sometimes the fullback does push forward. They go to a 3-2-4-1 formation, which we've seen City play before, and a lot of teams like to line up in that way. Mikel Arteta has his fullback come inside. A little bit different in the way they do it on the Cesc Fabregas. So how would that fit in Manchester City? Because he does like this idea of his right winger coming inside, creating a box midfield, leaving a lot of space that right hand side for the fullback to push forward into if they need to. It's quite a unique way of playing, and it's a unique way that he would bring to Manchester City. Now, looking at the squad we've got, the players we've got, it would look like this. So Shirky would play off that right, probably. Vinicius Jr. would stay on that left. Vardiel would play sort of left back because he can drift into the inside. And what I'd be looking at in that side is we'd be looking at bringing once again a goalkeeper and a right-sided centre-back. And if we moved into that 3, it'd look like that. So again, Donnarumma doesn't stick around in a Fabregas Manchester City. And a new centre-back would have to come in, a bit more of a powerful one, a bit more of an athletic one on that right-hand side. Option number 3 is a former Manchester City man, and someone that is one of the favourites, of course, to take over after Pep Guardiola. And that is Bayern Munich's Vincent Kompany. Captain fantastic he was at Manchester City, one of our key players for many a season, and he could be the perfect option. Now, of course, in our save, I think he's actually left Bayern gone to Inter, but we'd look to bring him in. He plays a 4-2-3-1. He likes to play 2 hold midfielders. He likes to play sort of a midfielder at fullback sometimes, or a defender at fullback, and have those wide players creatively playing a certain way. But what Bayern Munich does, and it revolves around Harry Kane being quite versatile, is pushing them into a false 9 role. So sometimes you see the wingers go very wide, and Luis Diaz and Michael Olise, the fullbacks come inside and offer sort of a 4 support, with then Kane dropping deep alongside Musiala and playing sort of a double false 9, with the wingers being creative in the wide areas. Kane and Musiala combining and so on. And the Alcos can switch that up as well. The actual fullbacks can go wide and the wingers come inside well, and that's where the rotations come in. And that is sort of spells sort of a 2-4-4 formation. And that is what Vincent Kompany has been using at Bayern Munich. And how will that work at Manchester City then? What do we need to do to sort of use the players they've got? And this question isn't he? Can Erling Haaland play the Harry Kane role? Can he play as a false 9? Does Kompany try him in that position? What do we need? Well, it's a similar situation to to the other one. There's lots of areas you could look at. Can Erling Haaland play the Harry Kane role? Do we need a different midfielder who can play more of a holding midfielder? Right side centre back, a more athletic right side centre back than Ruben Diaz, and of course, again, a ball playing goalkeeper. All of these managers would look to replace Gianluigi Donnarumma. Now, we think that Haaland would be fine to come back into the side, but I would be looking to sort of bring in a midfielder, a centre-back, and a goalkeeper, I do feel. However, alongside Rodri, Tajani Reynolds, I don't think he's got the quality to play the holding role, but I think what we would look to bring in is probably Anderson in that position, and then we look for, again, a new goalkeeper, a new right-side centre-back. So both Cesc Fabregas, Luis Enrique, pretty much, and Vincent Kompany, all three of those options to replace Pep Guardiola, will look to do the similar sort of stuff in the transfer market. And finally, and our final option number 4, is a man who knows Manchester City. He's managed our youth system, went on to manage Chelsea, recently left then, heavily linked with Manchester City as a new manager, and that is Enzo Maresca of Chelsea, or formerly of Chelsea. Worked under Pep Guardiola. He's a manager that Pep Guardiola thinks a lot of. Now, Guardiola has, named him and Vincent Kompany as possible options to replace him in the future. And I think Kompany and Maresca are my two favourites, but you guys will get to vote on this one. So Maresca at Chelsea, he also lined up in a 4-2-3-1. All these managers pretty much line up the same way. I know Enrique likes that 4-3-3 with a false 9, but they all have similar sort of characteristics, stylistic play, and patterns of play, really. Yes, they tactically change things, but that's the way Maresca's Chelsea like to line up. And Maresca at Chelsea like to push his fullback inside in Reece James and play a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-2-4-1, really. And that is what really worked for him there. It's something that we saw City do when Pep Guardiola went on and won the treble the first time around, of course, in this save. We won the treble last season. And not only that, sometimes you see Kukurea and James push forward and Chelsea line up in the back too, with Caicedo sitting just in front. That is against the smaller clubs when they want to be really, really attacking. But the 3-2-4-1 seems to be the most used formation by Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. And that would be the formation and the style that we used at Manchester City. So what would we do with City? So when they lined up in that position, that 3-2-4-1, who fits in? Well, Erling Haaland surely stays, isn't he, through the middle this time. You've obviously got the wide players you've got, but you're looking at the holding midfielders, the attacking midfielders, the defenders. What does Maresca do? Does he keep Donnarumma, or is it another situation when we look to bring a new goalkeeper? So I think Donnarumma could stay. Maresca looks for that, but he looks for sort of bringing a new right back who is more comfortable playing inside, like Reece James. Haaland, Semenyo, Vinicius Junior, Foden, and Shirky is sort of front 5. Lukeba, Vardy, and Kusanov, your back 3, and we're then looking to sort of bring in 2 new midfielders. Maybe Maresca sees it as time up for Rodri. If you were going to go into that different role, then again you're looking at sort of a holding midfielder to come in, Nico and Rodri, not perhaps to the standards, and that right back that can come inside, and so on. So the question is, which one of those 4 managers do we bring in? Luis Enrique, Cesc Fabregas, Vincent Kompany, or Enzo Maresca? And I put it to a vote on the community tab, and I can tell you, to start season 4, Vincent Kompany will be Pep Guardiola's successor at Manchester City. He's going to take over from Pep, take over a treble-winning side. He's going to make changes. He's going to make big decisions. But with nearly 1,000 votes on this vote in the community tab, 49% of you guys voted him as the next manager. Luis Enrique was a close second with 34%. Enzo Maresca third with 30%. Cesc Fabregas last in the popularity with 4%. But yes, 875 votes on this community post. 49%, nearly 50% voted in favour of Vincent Kompany. He is going to take over at Manchester City and try and do what he has done in Season 4 with Bayern, but try and continue the success at Manchester City. And we are going to make changes to the squad. We are going to make big decisions. We are going to have to rejuvenate it, refresh it in some way, which means some maybe out there signs at times. But remember, this is 4 seasons on from the current season, and things change very quickly in football. If you're excited for Season 4, drop a like down below. Comment down below who you think Vincent Kompany should be bringing in to his Manchester City side. If you want to see the start of this season early, then you can join the We Are City member club, and you can see everything early and ready before anyone else. You really don't want to miss it. And we'll see you guys for the official start of Season 4. Vincent Kompany's Manchester City taking on from Pep Guardiola next time.